Hello fellow creators, welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, thank you so much for stopping by. Here I make pattern tutorials like this. I also make sewing tutorials, fashion tutorials, DIYs, natural hair content, and also bead making tutorials. So if you know that those areas are what you're interested in and you'd love to learn more about those things, then please make sure you subscribe. I post videos every Wednesdays and Saturdays. So as you can see from the title of this video, we're going to be learning how to sew an invisible zipper with facing. So the first step that we want to do is I want to cut out our facing, and we start doing that by tracing our armhole and our neckline. So that is the first thing that you want to do. You want to get your pattern paper, whichever pattern you're working with, whichever neckline you're working with, whichever armhole you're working with. Those are the two sides that you want to trace at first, and then we're just going to do that, and then we'll get on to the next step. So after you're done with that, you want to mark the length of your facing. So as you can see, I had already cut the facing for the back panel, and as you can see, the length of my facing for my back panel is at my bust, but as you can see, the neckline for this front panel is below the bust line, so I cannot cut the I cannot allow the length of the facing to be at the bust line. Do you understand? So if for instance your neckline is below your bust line, then you have to stop your the length of your facing at the waist. I hope that makes sense. So I'm going to show you the back panel as well and how I created that. So once we're done with that, we're just going to draw a straight line, as you can see, and that is it. It's very, very easy. All you just need to do is just trace out the neckline, trace out the shoulder line, and draw the length of your facing. And as I said earlier, if your neckline point is below your bust, then you want to make sure that you stop your facing at your waist. Very good. So I lost the footage for the back panel when I was cutting it, but it's quite easy. All you just need to do is just trace out the neckline like so, trace out the armhole like so, and then you want to make sure that the length of your dress stops at the bust part, since the neckline is above the bust line. Anytime your neckline is above the bust line, you stop at the bust line, and anytime your neckline is below the bust line, you stop at the waistline. I hope that makes sense. So as you can see, I had already cut it out, and this is what it's looking like. It's quite short because the neckline is quite high up, so there's no need to stop it at the waistline. So yeah, right now we're done with cutting, so let us get on to actually sewing the facing. But before I want to clarify something, that when you're cutting out your facing, especially for the front panel, if for instance the dress that you're making, the front panel is just one piece, it's not divided, then you don't divide the facing as well. But if it is divided, then you divide it into two panels. I hope that makes sense. So now that we're done with cutting our facing on the fabric, the next thing is to sew our zipper. So as you can see, I'm just showing you that you should have 2 layers for your back panel and 2 layers for your facing. So the next thing we want to do is that we want to overlock the raw edges so that we can sew the zipper. So as you can see, I've already overlocked them, so now it's time to sew the zipper. So now I'm just going to show you the arrangement of the zipper. As you can see, that is the way the zipper is going to be. Okay, the zipper is supposed to be facing the upper part. So when you want to sew your zipper, you have to be careful, okay? While sewing especially your invisible zipper, it's quite easy to get it wrong. Honestly, I can't remember how many times that I have sewn an invisible zipper and then I had to loosen it because I wasn't paying attention and I just did it anyhow. So you want to start by putting your left panel and then you turn it to the left. Can you see that? So you want to start with your zipper facing up, then you turn it to the left, and then you would now turn it over to see, okay, if I turn it over like the way it is normally, would it zip up? And of course it will zip up. So here I'm just showing you that because we're going to be joining our facing, we want to make sure that we leave space at the top so that there would be enough space for us to sew the facing with the front panel. So as you can see, I'm just showing you again, turn it to the left, make sure that it would zip up if it's like that. So as you can see, your zipper should start at that 0.25 I leave 1/4 of an inch. You could even leave lesser than that, but just make sure that there's a little bit of space so that you would be able to join your facing without having an issue of not having enough space. So as you can see, I'm just pinning it down. So after you pin it down, you want to make sure that you sew really close to the zipper teeth, okay, because that is the essence of an invisible zipper. Okay, the zipper teeth for an invisible zipper is not that big, just for the purpose of, okay, while you sew the zipper, it's not really showing like that, and it's a little bit invincible, although it's quite hard to sew really close, like the way like it would normally be with like all these industrial machines. So we just want to try our best, but usually we can't really attain that really invisible look because of the footer that we're using and all of that. So yeah, but you just want to try your best. So as you can see, I'm just trying my best to sew really close to the zipper teeth, but you want to make sure that you don't sew too close, because if you sew too close, if you sew on it, then you're not going to be able to zip up. So as you can see, you just want to stop above the where the zipper ends. So as you can see, I'm able to zip up, and that means that I sewed well. But if you sew too close to the zipper teeth, you're not going to be able to zip up. So just want to like find a balance with it, and as you can see, it's okay and it's zipped up. That's good to go. So now we're on to the right panel. So for the right panel, all we just need to do is the same way we did it for the left panel. This time we're going to be turning the zipper to the right. As simple as that. Like, it's literally as simple as that. We just want to turn the zipper to the right side, and then after we do that, we'll test again to make sure that it is going to zip up, and as you can see, it is good to go. So yeah, that is it. So after we do that, we turn it to the right, and then we just start pinning. So as you can see, we always want to make sure that the zipper teeth is at the other side of, like, the zipper teeth is at the other side of the overlocking. So as you can see really closely, if you see it, the overlocking side is not close to the zipper teeth side, and that is the way it should be. That is how you know that you have arranged it right. So as you can see, you're just going to sew it down the same way I told you. So close to the zipper teeth, but not too close to the point where you cannot you cannot zip it up. So yeah, we're done with that. So now it's time for us to just join the two pieces together, the two back panels together at that side. So what you want to do is that you want to put your two back panels together, bring out the zipper like so, and then you see that seam there, you want to sew all the way down. From there, you sew all the way down till you get to the hem of the dress. It's as simple as that. And then once you're done with that, your zipper should look like this. And then after that, you want to give your zipper a press. You could use your steam iron, or if you don't have a steam iron, then you could just use a normal iron, but I would suggest you use a steam iron, just because of the steam. The steam really relaxes the stitches, and allows everything to just look neat. So while you're sewing that part, you want to make sure that this seam is pressed open and not pressed to another side, just so that place would be flat. So you just want to make sure that as you're ironing your that seam, you want to make sure that the two panels that we joined together at that side are like facing opposite directions, just so that place would be flat and lay flat. So that we are done with our zipper, we're done with the zipper. So now it is time to get on to actually sewing the facing. So the first thing you want to do is that we want to open it up, and then after you do that, you want to sew with right sides facing each other. Okay, you want to sew the facing with the right sides facing each other. So you want to sew just the neckline, only the neckline, and you want to sew just the armhole. Okay, don't sew the shoulder part, because the shoulder part we're going to be joining it anyways, so there's no need to sew it again. So the only parts we want to sew, I'm just showing you that it should be sewn on the right side. So back to our sewing machine, and I'm just showing you that you want to sew just the armhole and the neckline. So while you're sewing your armhole, you want to make sure that you turn your hand. You want to make sure that you follow the curve. Okay, you don't just like stretch it and just like sew on like a straight line. You want to make sure that you sew in a curve, so that the armhole would curve properly, and the curve will be there, and it won't just look like just sew the straight line on a curved line. I hope that makes sense. Just do things properly. Then after you're done with that, it's on to the neckline. So for the neckline, you want to make sure that you sew to get to that place. Okay, you want to make sure that your seam gets to that place where the zipper starts from. Can you see that place? Yes, that is where you want your seam to start and to end, so that there won't be space at the top of the zipper once the zipper is zipped up, and the zipper will just stop at where the dress actually stops. I hope that makes sense. So yeah, you just want to make sure that you target that place, that white place that you can see there. Yes, you want to target that place while you're sewing. So as you can see, that was what I'm doing, and I got to that place. And then for this one now, I left 0.25 inches, but I think the lowest you should leave is 0.125. You may not even leave that much space since the zipper already has space at the top, but just leave at least some space so that you can have just space. It's just better to just leave more space than not leave more space. Yeah, so once you're done with that, once you're done with sewing the facing, I lost the footage of me doing this for the back panel, so I'm just showing you how to do it on the front panel, and then you want to do this on your back panel as well. So as you can see, I'm just making little cuts along the seam, where the seam of the of me joining the facing and the panel together. I'm just making small seams, but I want to make sure that it doesn't get to that line. It doesn't get to the line of your thread, like your thread sewing, because if it cuts through that place, then of course you're going to have to sew the dress again. So you just want to be careful, just to make small cuts along the seam of the dress. And the reason for this is because it would allow the place that you sewed to lay flat. That place would lay flat because you cutting that thing as relaxed the seams, and then you just pressing it with your iron just relaxes it even more. So that is something that you should not skip. It is very it's crucial, but a lot of people overlook this, and it's not supposed to be so. You should always make sure that anytime you sew facing with your neckline, you want to make sure that you cut that, or even with your armhole, you want to make sure that make those cuts along the line of the seam, so that when you turn it over and you want to press it, it would be easier for you to do it, and it will just lay flatter. So after you've done that, the next thing is that we're going to use this gum stay to join the facing to the actual dress, so that it doesn't remove, and it just lays put and just lays flat on that part. So as you can see, we want to fold in that other part that is laying out. So you just want to fold it in, put the gum stay on the actual panel of the back, put the gum stay on the back panel like so, a little bit near the zipper, like so, exactly like this. And then we're just going to fold the facing on top. Simple, voila, as you can see, just like that. So after we do that, we're just going to get our iron, and we're just going to press it. So this is gum stay, so it turns into gum. Once it's hot, it just gums, like whatever you put it, like whatever you put it's in between, it gums both of them together. Although I would say that sometimes this gum stay is not that great, but it does the job. But I've noticed that if it's not original gum stay, then it would just keep on removing and removing, so you just have to be careful with that. But yeah, so I did that for the front panel for the left side, and I did that for the right side, and this is our finished product. So as you can see, this is quite easy to do. You just have to make sure that the little things, things that you may consider little are actually really a lot, and they would actually just contribute to the final product. So you just want to make sure that you do all these things with due diligence, and that you just take your time to do them, because if not Alright, so that is it for this video. Please like this video if you learned something and if you enjoyed it, and also subscribe for more tutorials like this. You can drop a comment if you don't understand anything, if you have any questions, and I'll see you next time. Bye.